It's go time. Elric of Melniboné, Book 1 of the Elric Saga. It's time to talk about it. I joined summer read along. I guess it's not going to just be limited to summer, but a read along of the Elric Saga with a few channels here on YouTube. I found the read along through Liminal Spaces, the channel that Chris has. I'll link it down below, and a few other channels. I think Secret Fire books and a couple others. Joined the Discord and just got excited about reading fantasy with these guys and gals. And what do you know? I didn't have the first book, and I think this first book was the book that they chose for August. And each month they're gonna, the plan is to move on from book to book. And I went book shopping the very same day I saw uh, Chris's video on the first book, and I had the thought, wouldn't it be funny if I found uh, the first Elric book going out shopping? And because you rarely run into Michael Moorcock, vintage Michael Moorcock, and um, just great serendipitous moment. I found this at the bottom of a box that was there, and I went home and started reading it that same day. I think I finished this in a couple of sittings, not the full collection. This is three different books in here, three of the six that are in the main Elric saga. Um, this video is only going to be about book one. I think I've said that a couple times, but I just want to be clear. Elric of Melniboné, the first book, is what I'm going to be talking about. And uh, gosh, where to start on this? Um, the the way that I kept kind of thinking about this book as I was reading it in my mind is rock and roll fantasy, just good old fashioned rock and roll fantasy. I don't know if that resonates with anybody else who's read either Moorcock or Elric, but um, this is the first experience I've had with Moorcock, and he's got a really fun writing style where he's got a bite to his fantasy prose. Unlike great authors like J.R.R. Tolkien or C.S. Lewis, who I read growing up, who had fantasies, Moorcock's got a much more cynical, might be the right word, cynical edge, where you're not reading it to feel all warm and fuzzy by the fire, watching your heroes slay dragons. You're more watching this cold, violent, intense landscape be ruled by evil, and almost heroes begrudgingly saving the day, so to speak. And so that's kind of how I would summarize this first book: as a begrudging, quote unquote, hero, if you can refer to Elric as such, um, doing his best to save the day. Uh, I'll position kind of the plot, but I won't give much away because I do think that a lot of this book is the fun of it is kind of seeing from chapter to chapter the different wild hijinks that um, happen. And I don't mean all of this to say that this is like somehow um, it's not fantasy that it's cheesy in any way or goofy. Um, it's I just mean that in a very like some of the events don't have direct cause and effect where you kind of just move from plot point to plot point, and you just are kind of like, all right, I guess this is where we're going now. And in a fantasy world, if you've read speculative fiction, science fiction, or fantasy especially, you know that authors can kind of use that cheat code of making up their world to get around certain issues in their plot. I don't think that's what Moorcock does here. I think he's like, I wonder how I could fit this really cool thing into the story. And he does, and it feels natural, it feels fun. You suspend a little bit of your disbelief as far as like needing it's a character driven book with really cool fantasy elements. That's I'll try to be succinct there. Elric is our main character, our protagonist, and he is he's the leader of Melniboné, as the title would suggest. It's a kingdom, an older ancient kingdom that is sort of built on traditions of violence and patriarchy ish type of, men rule with the iron fist, and they've always ruled with the iron fist, and it's the kingdom, or the being king has passed down from bloodline to bloodline, and Elric is sort of, as I said before, begrudgingly the person in charge. He doesn't seem to have a drive to want to be king or to be the leader of this group of people, but I think it's sort of thrust upon him, and he's fit to lead because he doesn't want to lead. That kind of, I won't spoil it, but a very famous fantasy tale sort of ends on that kind of note of the people who um, don't want to lead are best equipped to lead. So I digress. But Elric he has a person he loves, Cimmeril, this woman he loves, and one of his few friends or people that he lets into his life. And then he has a cousin named Irkun, spelled really cool. It's like, I think it's spelled Yyyrkr, no, Yyyrkoon. So it looks like Yayakern or something like that, but it's Irkun. And his cousin's a jealous cousin. He wants the throne clearly from the get-go. It establishes that Irkun doesn't think he's fit to lead. He doesn't like Elric very much, and he wants the power. He's like, you're not doing this the way that our ancestors wanted to do this. I will. And Elric's just like, nah. And we have this great opening scene, opening on the ruby throne that Elric is sitting on, and just establishes the power dynamic and the world that we're living in. And then we just get started from there and get into the action. There are some young kingdoms who attack them, try to attack them. Young kingdoms aren't quite, they don't have the same beliefs or traditions as Melniboné does, and so they kind of are in this feud. And after that feud happens, and they war with them, Irkun tries to take the throne from Elric, and in several different ways really attempts to seize the power. And Elric, just like the badass that he is, he's just like, fine, I guess I'll do this. I guess I'll reclaim the throne because that's what we need here. My people really can't have Irkun leading. He sucks. So that's kind of the main gist of the plot. I don't want to give too much away without letting you know spoilers, because, like I said, tons of this book is built on the fun, crazy things that Moorcock dreams up. And Elric's like easy to root for in a way where you're like, he has a lot of conflict within him, and I think you can identify with some of his struggles as far as just his dealings with maybe being presented with circumstances that he doesn't really want to deal with. He kind of just seems like he just wants to go off with Cimmeril and live a quiet, happy life. But he knows that destiny has led him to more, and so that's kind of where we go through that through the first book, and that's all I've read so far. Sailor on the Seas of Fate is next for August, and The Weird of the White Wolf, I believe, is slated for September. So be on the lookout for more from the guys' channels down below. Like I said, that kind of led this reading. Please join if you want to, if you're interested, because it was a lot of fun. I had no plans to pick anything like this up. Kind of did it on a whim, and I'm really glad I did. So To Chris and to the other guys who have kind of spearheaded this thing, thank you. I really appreciate it, for opening this up to people. This is the kind of stuff that I just was kind of really hoping for when I joined BookTube several months ago. Started doing videos where it would be just this community of people who enjoy the reading of these kind of things, and this is a great example of that, where there's a Discord server, people are just chatting it up, being silly, talking about the book, and it really is a cool way to engage with works that I don't know that many people who are talking about something like this right now. A lot of people on BookTube in this kind of space are much more into modern sci-fi and fantasy, and this kind of stuff just doesn't get the coverage that I feel like it deserves. Because there's a lot of cultural, maybe not cultural, a lot of fantasy, historical fantasy literature that was inspired by this, and this has a ton of influence on. And so, I would encourage you, if you even if you don't read this, look into the backstory of Moorcock and the writing of this, because I find it fascinating. I'm really trying to temper myself from just like reading it really quick and going through these. I'm trying to kind of take my time with it, to have, number one, to follow along with the reading schedule that the guys have created for this, but also to let myself kind of just, I don't know, just sit in the fun fantasy that this is. Because I think a lot of the other stuff that I've covered on the channel, a lot of the stuff that I usually tend to gravitate towards, is science fiction that takes a ton of emotional weight or brain power, and it's not light and fun usually. A lot of the stuff I read just doesn't really have that air about it usually. I'm saying usually a lot, but that's not to dissuade you. This is a lot of fun. This is a lot of it's a great summertime read. It's perfect for this month of July. So that's why you're getting this video. I wanted to get this out at the very end of July before August hit, so I'd have the rest of the month to read some other stuff, get some other videos out, but then get Sailor on the Seas of Fate read and reviewed by the end of the month. So be on the lookout for that. I won't dig into any more of the plot, because I think there's not a whole lot of analysis I want to do about it and discussion about it. It's just a lot of fun. This mainly was just to encourage you to read it. It's a lot of fun. So very thankful that I did this and am doing this. And I hope you enjoyed. I appreciate you for watching, as always. Go pick this bad boy up, and I will see you in the next video.